whatever you do, you have to influence people, right? And NLP is the most powerful tool that I know, at least until now, in order to influence and persuade people. So that's what I love the most about NLP and the coaching world, because everything that you do, whether it's coaching people, a podcast like this, speaking on a stage, you're talking to people, right? There's somebody watching. So the better you are at influencing and persuading people in a right way, I think the more chances of success you have and the more impact you can create.
The Connect Coaching Unplugged.
This is the Connect Podcast number 21 with Conor, Healy, and the awesome Kallum, Hock. Streaming to you live from, we are in Australia, and we have a wonderful, wonderful guest, a very good friend of Connect Coaching, all the way from India. It's 4:30-ish in the morning, up bright and early. You would never know because he's an absolute professional, and that is Aki. Aki, welcome to the podcast, Aki.
Thank you, Conor. Thank you, Kallum. I'm super excited to be here. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody watching wherever they are.
Wherever they are. A little bit about Aki. Over the last 6 years, Aki has built a following of thousands of coaches and trainers from around the world, helping coaches and trainers to attract clients and grow their coaching business from scratch. Aki hails from a small town in southern India and used to struggle with low self-esteem and self-confidence. And until the age of 22, Aki would go through this journey in his life. I guess at around 22, you did multiple jobs up until 22, working as an engineer in a factory, to being a salesperson at a call center, to becoming an English teacher in Thailand, which marked a major turning point in his life. In 2017, after a year of working as an English teacher in Thailand, I assume, Aki enrolled into an NLP practitioner certification program and an ICF coach training program. After that, he worked with an international training and coaching company based in Bangkok for about 3 years. After which he started his own business, helping coaches and trainers to attract clients and grow their coaching businesses from the very, very start. Aki is a certified trainer of NLP, ICF trained coach, and an international speaker. Awesome, we can unpack that. And works with his clients in mainly 3 different ways: 1-on-1 coaching, 2 group coaching, and 3 online or live training programs. Aki believes that coaches and trainers are agents of change, and through his signature program, the Coaching Business Builder, we'll unpack that, he has helped thousands of coaches and trainers from 21 different countries, from diverse backgrounds, monetize their NLP and coaching skills and training skills to start and grow their own businesses. Today, Aki's intention is to share with us his valuable stories, experiences, and major life lessons that he learned along the way, and to make a valuable contribution to the Unplugged Podcast. Welcome, Aki. Thank you very much for being with us. That's quite an introduction. Look, I know you always look sharp. You look incredibly sharp for someone being up at 4:30 in the morning. But also, you've been blessed because you've obviously drinking from the fountain of youth, and you've done so much in your life. Can you share with us, like, the amount of experience you have is that of someone who's been in this industry for 20 or 30 years, but you've been drinking from the fountain of youth, and you're not. What age are you right now, Aki?
I'm 31, about to be 32 next month.
Amazing. So you have certainly pushed yourself out of your comfort zone in order to achieve the results you've achieved in your life. The number of people you've influenced, you're now in the thousands of coaches and trainers globally, 21 different countries. And I see, Kallum and I follow you on socials, and you're traveling. You're always traveling with your beautiful wife and going to different places and trainings and the like. What has been the drive for you to suddenly wake up at the age of 22 and in 10 years almost build this legacy already in the world by helping people?
Yeah, it's a great question. To be honest, the first thing that comes to my mind when you ask me this question is like I had a really average background in terms of my school and my university and all of that. So I guess nobody really had major expectations from me anyway. So when I started out in my career, I started out, at least from my perspective, I was like very open-minded in terms of what I wanted to do. I'd never had a narrow-minded view in terms of career and job and all of that. So one of the things that happened, actually, my second job, I was working in a call center as a salesperson in New Delhi, India. And about 7 months into the job, I realized the company I was working for was a scam. And even though I was making decent amount of money and all of that, my conscience didn't allow me to be part of an organization just to make money, right? So I, told my family, I lied to my family that I lost my job and I, quit the job, and I came back to my hometown. And I'll never forget the day I came back. So the day I reached home, I was searching on Google jobs that help people. And that's how I found an opportunity that you can become an English teacher and you can actually go abroad and all of that. So the only thing that I knew at that point of time was I wanted to be part of something that would make a contribution to people's lives. I wanted to be useful because I believe that all of us are here for some divine reason, for some divine purpose. And it could be anything. It could be by being a coach or a trainer or being a teacher, being a football player, whatever that might be. So I hadn't found until that time how I can be, useful as. So I guess everything started from there.
Wow, that's so you told your parents, what did you tell them? That you lost your job?
Yeah, I told them they fired me.
Because you had left on your own conscience as a result of sort of pulling back the curtain and realizing that maybe there were some behaviors that didn't align with your life values. And then you jumped online and Googled jobs that help. It fired you up so much to do the right thing or to do something that did align with your values. You literally Googled jobs that help people.
Yeah.
And then and then how on earth did you end up in Thailand?
Well, so what happened was, when I Googled this, I found a blog which had 7 different jobs that would, really make a genuine contribution in people's lives. And the last thing was, become a certified English teacher, go abroad. So right from my school, the only subject I was really good at was English. And my father had a huge role to play in that because he supported me so much. So I did this course. It was a 3 weeks course, just like an NLP course. I did the course to become an English teacher, certified English teacher. And I applied for 69 different jobs across the world. And I found one job in Thailand, which happened to be one of the best English language schools around the world, Wall Street English. So I found a job there. And thankfully, they actually hire native speakers of English. Although I can speak English really well, I'm not a native speaker, right? So they were kind enough to hire me, and I was the first Indian to be ever hired by this company, which had like 40,000 plus employees around the world. So that's how I ended up in Thailand in 2016, and I worked as a teacher for about 1 year. And then a few things happened. I can tell you more about that in the podcast. So a few things happened during this 1 year. And at the end of the 1 year, my contract was up, and I was like, okay, what next? Because it started to feel like a routine job because I was doing almost the same thing every single day. And I thought, what else can I do? And I went online, I searched on Google again, almost the same thing, right? How to have a job that can help people. So I found a few things. I found about NLP, I found about ICF, I found about becoming a trainer, becoming a speaker. So during this time, I was a Toastmaster. So I was developing my public speaking skills, my presentation skills, and all of that. So I found there's a very good alignment between all of these things. By becoming a coach, a trainer, a speaker, you can actually combine all of these things. And what I didn't have at the time was a certification. I was not a certified coach or a certified trainer. So that's how I started my journey in 2017. I started with my NLP practitioner program, then the ICF program, and then a year later I did my NLP master practitioner. And 2020, I did my NLP trainers training. So yeah, that's the journey.
Aki, it sounds like you had almost like an inner compass that guided you to all of these places and things. And I'd love to dive into that a little bit, because often we get caught in a place of work, or we get in a relationship, or we're in a city or in an environment that we're living in, and it seems like too big a risk to leave the security, even if it is not exactly what we want, to leave the security of that place or that job or that relationship in order to go after what I guess that inner compass pulls us towards. How did you, because it sounds like it was a really big deal for you to leave that job, both you personally, but also with the implications that it had on your greater family. How did you navigate that time, and how did you stay true to your inner compass, and how did you trust that process? Because I know a lot of people struggle with that. They have a dream, they feel pulled by the universe in a certain direction, but it can feel like a little bit, I guess, scary or daunting at times for people to leave that comfort zone, even if it's not exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, it's a great question. So, talking about the transition I made into becoming a coach and a trainer. So, a year before that, I had made this huge change of going from an engineer to being a salesperson in a call center to becoming an English teacher. So, like I said, I was the first non-native speaker, first Indian national to be hired by this company as an English teacher. It was a lot of work during that process. Like I had to completely revamp my resume, give my interview, all of these things. So that was at that point of time the biggest achievement and the scariest thing I had ever done. So a year later, when I wanted to make this transition into becoming a coach and a trainer, I asked myself, okay, I've done something like this, a huge transition a year before. So, I think I can do that again. So to be honest, the experience of having taken a huge risk a year before gave me the confidence. I mean, there was still a lot of unknowns, but I thought if I don't do this right now, it's going to be too late. And somehow I had this mindset, I had this clarity that when you're relatively young, and when you can, that's the time to take risks and give yourself a chance, because I think the older we get, because of whatever reason, responsibility, all of these things, it becomes more challenging to take that risk and go after what you really want. I mean, this is not to say that I'm perfect in any way, but I think we are all a work in progress. But that's what gave me the confidence. What I had done a year before, making the transition into becoming a coach and trainer, to really give myself a chance. And I had a good support system around me. Um, I was trained by Sebastian, a good friend.
Sebastian
And
is the previous podcast.
yes, I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he has been a huge influence in my journey. I worked with him for 3 years. So he's helped me in so many ways. And he's my role model in many ways, especially as a trainer, as a storyteller. So yeah, I had him, I had a few other people as well. So all of that helped me. And yeah, I would say it's a combination of committing to the task, and overcoming the obstacles whenever they presented themselves. Yeah.
Well,
It's easier said than done overcoming obstacles, because some obstacles can really paralyze people because it's too hard. Uh, what what do you say? How did you decide that this is an obstacle that I have to go over, as opposed to this is an obstacle that tells me I shouldn't be going and start?
When I started out in my career, one second, there's some background noise. Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear
Yeah.
you.
If you don't mind, could you repeat the question? I lost you for a bit.
That's okay. Where you said you mentioned you had to overcome the obstacles,
Mhm.
and I'm curious as to what is it that goes through people's minds because in life, how many times have we heard, oh, there was an obstacle and I dug deep and I overcame it, versus here's an obstacle, oh, it told me that this wasn't the right direction for me. And it's
Yeah.
very easy to play that mind game and to go either way. Like, oh, it obviously wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
But but you chose differently.
Yeah, to be honest, it was not always easy. Even now I have, my challenges in a different way. So there were so many of my challenges, like for example, when I first started out as a coach and trainer, one of my biggest challenges was reaching out to people, connecting with people, because three of us know how important it is to reach out to people, talk to people about what you have to offer. And for a long period of time, that was a huge problem for me, and I didn't do enough in the beginning to overcome that obstacle. And a few years ago, I learned this concept. I mean, I'm sure both of you know this. So there's a quote that says, "When the pain of staying the same is bigger than the pain of changing, then you make a change." Right? I think something along the lines. So one day it just clicked, right? And I thought, if I just continue to be in this state, like not reaching out to people, not developing the skill set of attracting leads and attracting my ideal clients, it's going to be a major problem, because among the many different skill sets necessary to succeed as a coach and trainer, this is a major one. So similarly, all the other challenges that I've had, this has been the single most biggest driving factor to help myself overcome that. So yeah, that's what I would say. There are many, but this is the biggest one.
And what was it about the NLP and coaching industry that you then decided this is my new direction?
Yeah. So, one thing that I've always loved is helping people. And I've always been curious about why people are different, what makes people different. And in my early days, when I met somebody that, I didn't really like or whatever, it was not very easy to like talk to them and communicate with them and then kind of navigate whatever challenges it presented. But over time, when I learned NLP, I mean, we have one of the presuppositions, right? That everybody's doing the best they can with the resources they have. So I love that so much. And I thought, ultimately, everything in life that we do is about influence and persuasion. That's what I believe. Whatever you do, you have to influence people, right? And NLP is the most powerful tool that I know, at least until now, in order to influence and persuade people. So that's what I love the most about NLP and the coaching world, because everything that you do, whether it's coaching people, a podcast like this, speaking on a stage, you're talking to people, right? There's somebody watching. So the better you are at influencing and persuading people in a right way, I think the more chances of success you have and the more impact you can create.
Look, you've absolutely created a huge impact, and there's been a big theme through what you've said so far around helping people. And it sounds very much like, and from what I can see from the outside looking in, the risks that you took earlier in life have really paid off over the 10 years that you've been working at it. And
Yeah.
it seems like you're, even from the time that we met you, I think it was possibly around 7 or 8 months ago, maybe a little bit longer ago for myself, Conor, a little bit longer. You've just gone from strength to strength to strength. You seem to be everywhere all of the time, and you utilize the social media channels very, very well. And you have this ability to make people feel comfortable and open to you straight away. What is it that over the last 10 years you felt like has been, because obviously there's been the financial wins and your business growth, but what has been some of the wins that you've had around helping people? What is it, I guess, the big sort of highlights for you over that 10-year period where you feel like, wow, you know what? I set out to help people. I was looking for something that was more aligned with who I am in terms of a career, in terms of a job. I wanted to make sure that at the center of that was the human beings, the human heartbeats, and being able to help those people. What has been some of the highlights over that 10-year period that you can share with our listeners that maybe might inspire them to do the same? Because plenty of our listeners are very much into the same thing when it comes to helping people and making a difference.
Yeah, it's a fascinating question. So three things come to my mind. And number one, especially as a coach and a trainer, I mean, for everybody's the same, but I think especially as a coach and a trainer, all of us have to become really good speakers. Whether you do, speaking on stage or a webinar, whatever, or even if you just do one-on-one, I believe that all of us need to develop the skill to become really good speakers. And the good news is that it's a trainable skill. It's not, I mean, some people have it naturally, but I believe it's a trainable, learnable skill. So that's been a huge part of, my journey and the success I've had so far and what I'm looking forward to do in the future as well, because it's a vehicle that takes you from A to B to C to D. That's one. The other thing that I believe is that over time, I mean, in the beginning, when I started out, I wasn't very clear who my target audience were and how I wanted to reach out to them and how I wanted to perceive who I am and the value that I can create. So over time, one of the biggest learnings I've had is as much as it is important to attract the right people, it's also important to repel the wrong people. So I've spent like literally hundreds of hours over time talking to the wrong kind of people. And what I mean by that is people who say they want to make a change, people who say they want to, improve a certain area of their life. But when it comes to the part of taking action, either in the form of enrolling for a program or taking a certain action to make that change, they make up excuses. And I feel like it drains your energy a lot to associate with people like that. So I've made a very conscious effort, even I do this like every single day in terms of who I'm talking to. So I've kind of sidelined all the people I feel are not good for my energy. And I'm consciously working towards attracting the right kind of people, whether that is your clients or your partners or the people that you have in the industry, just like the three of us, right? So that's the second one. And the third thing is that I feel our time is precious, right? Everybody's time is precious. So every time I have a chance to speak to a group of people or one-on-one, I take it very seriously in terms of appreciating the other person's time and looking at it as an opportunity to serve that person in some way. Because um, it may not be that they might be impressed or inspired by my journey as a coach and trainer, but it could be something else in the story. They might be going through something in their life, something in their life right now. And I believe that when you share your story, uh, many times something you say clicks in the other person's mind, and you have a chance to make an impact there. So, yeah, that's the third thing I would say. Yeah.
So a big part of what you said then was around speaking, being able to get your message out there, being able to, conduct a room and captivate your audience, connect with them deeply on a larger scale. But also number two was being very mindful of your energy, and your energy beyond money is one of your biggest assets and resources that you have available. So you're very particular about the way that you take care of yourself and the people that you spend time with. And then the third one was being able to also manage your time and make sure that you're also respecting not only your own time, but other people's time.
Yeah.
And I think that's really big, huge takeaways of maybe the recipe that has been, what has been attributed to the success that you've had in that 10 years, a short period of time at such a young age to achieve so much. And it sounds like you're very disciplined on that as well, which is really fascinating. I can see how those three things can attribute to everyone's success at the same time.
Absolutely.
When you mentioned that, Aki, I reminded me of a quote by Warren Buffett, and that's what I was looking at. And he said, now you can improve your value by 50% by learning communication skills or public speaking. 50%. I mean, this is Warren Buffett, who's up there with top 10 maybe in the world, and he says that you can improve your value by 50% by really refining the communication and public speaking skills. In fact, when Connect Coaching first started, the very first training we ran was a public speaking training.
I know.
We know that if you can nail public speaking, there's this air of confidence about how you communicate that it doesn't matter if it's 101 or 1 to 1,000 plus, you have this element of certainty within yourself. And when you have that in business, gosh, your audience is 8 billion.
Yeah.
If you back yourself to communicate in front of 8 billion people, you are going to be incredibly successful in life. That's why the very first training we ran was a presentation training, because that's one area that we really lifted us up, and we looked at it ourselves and went, what is one major ingredient of our drive and success and what we've accomplished at our time in our careers? And that is our ability to feel like we can own every room that we walk into if we are the presenter, and having the strategy and the skills in order to do that. That's
Yeah.
huge. But I like the second one. And Cal, love the way you refined it. In the coaching industry, in my experience, a lot of people in the coaching industry don't want to let people down. They don't want to make other people feel bad. So can you share with us and the listeners your strategy on being clear with your boundaries and only working with those that, as you said, give you your energy? And because at some point you would have to say, you wouldn't maybe say the words, you're not a right fit, but at some point you would have to sort of, send people away that don't give you energy with the work that you do. So can you share with our listeners maybe your strategy on being able to say no to clients, or say no to business opportunities without feeling like you're hurting someone's feelings or letting them down?
Yeah. Actually, this is the hardest question. I mean, I've had in this podcast. Honestly, at this point, it's more like an intuition. Like I'm very big on intuition. I really believe in intuition. So when I get the intuition that, okay, this person is not the right fit, I just tell them, okay, it's been nice talking to you. Let me get back to you, and then I'll let you know what I can do. But if I have to summarize it to a strategy, what I would say, there are a few things. Like for me, it's all tied to your biggest values. So if you have my biggest values, number one is punctuality. Like I'm very big on that. I think maybe it came from my dad because he's like super punctual.
Is he an
So
engineer?
no, he's not. He was a banker.
Okay.
So when someone doesn't respect time, right? For example, if you have a meeting at 7 o'clock and they show up late, up to 3-4 minutes, I'm still okay. But anything more than that, it just pisses me off, to be honest. And and if they come on late and they don't apologize for it, that's like a red flag straight away, right? So if I sense that, what I do is that I give a maximum of 15 minutes to talk to this person. And so if they're punctual, and when I talk to them, I sense that this person is not the right fit. What I do is I kind of show them the picture of how hard it is. I mean, I'm talking to you as if I'm speaking to somebody who's interested in starting his or her coaching business, right? So if I sense this person is not the right fit for me, I show them the picture of the difficult parts. Like, for example, I tell them, so one of the things that you have to do is to reach out to people, and I'll tell you how to do that. I'll give you the script, I'll give you the structure, but you have to do it. So from a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to do that? And more often than not, a person who doesn't feel like the right fit, they say 5 or 6, or sometimes even less than that. And I tell them, okay, I can only share with you and guide you in many ways, but ultimately you are the one to take the action. So are you really serious on doing that? If not, then perhaps, you're not ready, or it's not the right time. So that's my strategy, to tell them indirectly that I don't want to work with you, because obviously I don't want to tell them upfront. I'm not a blunt person. I think sometimes I need to be, but anyway, uh, so I'm not a blunt person. So this is how I tell them. And yeah, those are the two things that come to my mind.
We know a long-term friend of ours, who we've known for years, and she was very, very well trained in Claire Graves' values, and value thinking. And companies would employ her to have conversations with employees to convince them that the values that they have don't align with the organizational values. And the employees would then make the decision themselves that maybe it's not the right fit to continue working with this organization.
Mm.
Very, very interesting. What you just said reminded me of that.
Yeah.
So would you still encourage that? Because they're a coach.
Yeah.
Where would you point them? So you would obviously make the suggestion one way, shape, or form that it's not a good fit. Would you then suggest that they maybe work on themselves in a particular way and then take the leap? Where would you send them from that point?
Hey guys, Kallum and Conor here from Connect Coaching. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Unplugged Podcast. We're jumping in to let you know about something really exciting, the Forever Client Matrix.
Absolutely. What we love doing is lighting people up and having them realize that their future is bright and, most importantly, making a difference in this world. So we are very excited to be able to share this with you.
If you want to turn every prospect into a forever client, then please click on the link below in the description and get instant access now to your preview of the Forever Client Matrix.
Enjoy.
Yeah, great question. So off late in the last few months, I discovered a way to help them at the same time not give them a lot of my time and energy. So, in the intro, you said that I deliver my service in 3 different ways. One is one-on-one, one coaching / mentoring. The other one is group coaching, and the other one is training. Right. So when I sense that this person may not be the right fit for me, especially to work one-on-one, I tell them about my group program.
Okay.
Because that way I still have a chance to help them. And sometimes what people need is, your support in some form, even if it's not one-on-one. So I tell them about my group program and I tell them, okay, this is how I go through the brochure, explain everything, and I answer all their questions. I give them enough time to do that. And I tell them, okay, let me send you this brochure, take your time. And if you want to sign up, let me know. So all the details are in the brochure. So that is the biggest thing that I do in order to not lose a client, at the same time protect my energy. So if they say, for whatever reason, they don't want to sign up, okay, that's fine. I wish you all the best. And, yeah, I wish them all the best. That's it.
Yeah, people often hesitate to go into these different qualification strategies with their business because they're afraid of turning people away, or they're afraid of missing out on business, or losing money or profit.
Yeah.
I think that can be sometimes very short-term thinking. The strategies that you're employing, with the way that you qualify people, with the way that you're very strict and diligent with the people that you let into your business, often pays off big time in the longer term.
Yeah.
In terms of, again, supporting your time and energy and making sure that people are the right fit, and that you're checking in on that periodically throughout the relationship to make sure that everyone's getting the best out of the relationship as well, that it's a win-win. The last thing that you want to do is to build a business that feels more like a prison.
Yeah.
That even if you are earning really, really good money, you're wishing that you weren't in it anymore. I spent a very long time in the mining and gas industry, wishing every day away, wishing I wasn't at work, waiting for my time off to actually start to enjoy my life. And I do see people in the coaching and training business that basically say yes to anybody with, the right amount of money in the bank, simply to, I guess in their mind, keep their business running and keeping it alive. And I think there are points maybe when you get started that is something that you need to do, even while you're refining maybe who is a good fit and who isn't in your own mind, because maybe you don't know yet. But when you do know, I think it is super important. And we have the luxury of working with people that we do enjoy working with these days, with the access that we now have through Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, all the social media channels, plus Zoom.
Yeah.
And I wondered how that experience has been for you. Did you see a drop off initially? Was there a drop off in terms of your profitability or your revenue streams, or did you find that once you got clear in your mind about who you did and didn't want to work with, that more of those people started to come along and join you in your business?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. So initially, yes, I did see a big drop, and to be honest, it worried me. It scared me. And what I've realized is this, at least in my opinion, this aspect of the right clients and the amount of money in your bank and all of that, it's not about the client. I believe it's about your relationship with money. Because if you're scared, okay, what if I don't get 5, 6 clients or 10 clients in a month and I don't have X amount of money in my bank account? What if something like that happens? So over time, I realized it's about your relationship with money. And I've struggled with that for a very long period of time. Only recently I've, improved in that area so much. And recently, like one day, I just had a realization that ultimately money is energy, right? I'm not the first person to say this. I think everybody knows this, at least in theory. Money is just energy, right? And I realized even if you have, let's say, 20,000 or $30,000 in your bank account, it's gonna go to some place, right? Whether you spend it on a vacation or you invest in a course or you invest in stock market or whatever, it's gonna go someplace, and then new money is gonna come. So even if you have this new client who might pay you whatever amount of money, it's gonna go somewhere. And then for a small period of time, your bank account, the number might go down, and you might feel scared or frightened or whatever. And then new money will enter, new clients will come. So when I learned to be at peace with that, that it's going to, it's not a straight line like this. It's always going to go up and down. But if you look at the trajectory, it's like going up, but not going up in a straight line, right? So when I came to be at peace with that, that's when, for me personally, things have started to improve, and I started to attract the right clients for me. So I think, especially as coaches and trainers, our relationship with money is very, very. I don't think it's talked about enough, and I didn't know this. Nobody told me when I first started out. I kind of discovered this, and then I found many people who struggle with the same thing, and I talked to them. I found out what they did, and I think it's a huge part of your success as a coach and trainer, the relationship with money and being at peace with it, at the same time working on improving it. Yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Cal, after you.
Look, I agree 100%. It's funny, Connor and I look at business a little bit differently to other people. We do play the long game, and we do something quite interesting, which is that we do a lot of inward reflection on the outcomes that we're creating at any given moment. If there's a string of things that happen that maybe happen once and we sort of ignore it, then happen twice and we go, oh, wow, that's interesting, it happened again, and then it happened a third time, and we're like, wow, this is something that we don't want in our business, we need to take a look at this. We'll look at it from a psychological perspective that is a little bit unusual. It comes from Carl Jung. It's the idea around perception is projection. Anybody from the NLP industry will know what I'm talking about, at least from the the lineage that we're from, with Dr. Tad James. We look at it from a perception is projection standpoint, and we do that because we know that sometimes it's not about the realities that are happening in your business, but it's about your own perspective of your business. And the same relates to your clients, and the same relates to money. So if we are creating something in our business that's causing us negative emotions and causing conflicts or causing any type of unease, we typically look to that first. So I mention this because there has been times in the past where someone who isn't an ideal client from a perception point of view or perspective point of view has become a super fan and has become one of our best clients because we've done the inner work first. We've changed our perspective. We've changed our perception on it. We've looked at what it is that's grinding our gears internally first, and we've made we've done the work to shift that inside of us. And sometimes it's one of us, sometimes it's both of us. We both could be experiencing it because we share a lot of collective projections together in this business. So that is the first point of call. And it's the same with money. When we're having really great weeks, things are projecting consciously. When we're having weeks where we're going, wow, what's happening? Revenue's dropped off this week, what's going on? Then again, we start with the inner work first.
Always.
That being said, and that being sort of handled, first of all, if there's still some facts that remain or some realities that we have to address, we absolutely do address it. We have some very clear guidelines around the types of people that we will allow in our private community. We also have those same guidelines for people that we work with one-on-one, because just like you, we value our one-on-one time. It comes at a premium, and we want to make sure that if we're going to spend this intimate time with people, especially in their businesses, which can be quite an emotional roller coaster sometimes for people, depending on what stages they're at. We want to make sure that the people that we work with are people that we would spend time with, people that we would, we would invite over for dinner with our families. We spent a lot of time under a different umbrella with a different organization where we didn't have control over many of those things, and we were unable to create constraints around working with the people that we wanted to work and not with other people we didn't want to work with. So we've made that a big part of our business. We've made, when we do our trainings, when we deliver our content, we've made, again, the types of people that we work with a very big part of how we're creating Connect Coaching. So I think it's not as black and white as maybe it's made out to be. And I'm not saying by you, I'm saying by a lot of people that are out there saying, you've just got to qualify everybody, and you only work with the people that you want to work with and don't work with the people that you don't want to work with. I don't know that it's black and white as it's sometimes communicated online in the coaching industry and the training industry. But I do think it's a necessary thing that when you get to a certain stage of your business, once you at least get to cruising altitude where you have some sort of certainty around the longevity of your business, and you're not still, you are very clear about your offering, you are very clear about your ideal client, you are very clear about the value of what you do, then certainly you must start to be very picky in qualifying people. And not just because you like them or don't like them, it's for the sake of the other people in the group. Because when you're building a community and you're doing group coaching, if you start to get people from all sorts of generalized backgrounds and businesses, the relevancy of what you're delivering can drop off.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing that you want to do, because when the relevancy drops off, the value might be high for one person in the group, but not for the others. And that's a very big problem that you can create when you're doing group coaching, is that you're creating relevant content for only one person, because you've gone too general in the terms of the people that you've allowed into your group. So I think that there's more variables, and it is more of a multi-layered, multi-track thinking that needs to be applied to it. But I guess, if we want to make it, in simple terms, yes, you should absolutely have some sort of qualification process with the people you work with. And again, it comes with an element of trust and or faith, which, by the way, I do believe in faith and trust, to do that and not worry about the money, because there is a trailing effect in terms of the point at which you make the decision that you're going to qualify people when you work with them, and where you start to see the results, the positive results of that. There can be a delayed trailing effect that happens. You may not see the positive results of that straight away, and that's where people, often freak out, because they see the drop off in revenue. They go, wow, I don't have as many people as I would have liked this month. But the less obvious things are your messaging gets dialed in, what you're delivering becomes much higher value, because it's much more niched and more focused on the people that you're working for. And then you start to see the uptick after that. So there is a few more pieces to the puzzle than I think, not you, but other people I've seen online have sort of applied to that rule.
Yeah. I agree.
Good. Yeah, we've had excuse me. We've had a lot of people in our communities over the years, Cal, who on paper they kicking and screaming. It felt like they're kicking and screaming. And I always like to ask, is this something that you want to do? And if they say yes and they're kicking and screaming, then I have a choice. I can either bring it to their awareness, and I say kicking and screaming metaphorically, but what that means is telling me all the reasons why they can't do something. But overarching, they want it. And the breakthrough they need is actually they're running an unresourceful strategy, which they've come to me to help them fix.
Yeah.
So I need to decide, is this person being unresourceful because they know that they're unresourceful and they know that that's their problem and they want what's on the other side? That's on me to hold my, be a cause for my communication and I guess be the more resourceful one out of us two. And I think any client that comes and sees a coach, the reason why they're seeking out a coach is because they have a level of unresourcefulness in an area of their life that they want cleaned up.
That's another layer. That is another layer of distinction that I left out before. And that's why I said there's so many different sort of ways of looking at this. And that's so important. I remember when I first started working with you, Conor, and, I'd get off the phone from a very difficult conversation with one of our clients. And I'm like, well, I don't ever feel like speaking to that person ever again. And, Conor would say to me, look, you have to play the resourcefulness game. You have to understand that we're in the business of change. And when you're in the business of change, it brings stuff up for people, particularly when they've done a training and they know what they're getting themselves into the second time around. They're coming to the second training, it's almost like their unconscious mind or their subconscious knows, hey, I'm going to put myself into this environment of growth that's going to bring stuff up for me. And it almost preempts that and starts bringing stuff up early. And when you're in that field, you need to have a level of awareness that that's the type of things that you're going to be faced on a day-to-day basis. And again, you need to practice the law of requisite variety, which is one of the other presuppositions of NLP, which is to be the most resourceful person in that situation at any given point in time. And that created a huge switch in my head when I was talking to Conor about that, because it also almost became this personal development technique or strategy that I applied to myself, whereby I wanted to win not by dominating the person, but by being the most resourceful, by getting a win-win for both of us. And understanding that, hey, this person is, a good person. They have good intentions, but maybe the behaviors aren't expressing that right. And it's actually my job. That's what I'm getting paid for here, to be the most resourceful person, to have them overcome this period of unresourcefulness that they're being faced with right now, so as to get them into the training or program or coaching session that I'm doing with them, so that they can have the outcome that they've called in and paid us for. So that was, sorry, I'm glad you brought that up, Conor, because that's another thing I left out before, which is so important.
I want to add one thing here. About 5-6 months ago, I had a prospect from Hong Kong, and she came through a referral. So the first conversation I had with her was fantastic. My one-on-one program is about 6 months long, and I have 16 one-on-one sessions in there. So went through the entire program with her, explained everything, and she seemed very happy. And I was also happy because, I liked her energy. I thought it's a good fit. And I sent her the brochure, I sent her the proposal, everything. And then 2 weeks later, I don't hear back from her. 3 weeks, I don't hear from her. So after a few days, she says, I'm still thinking if I should do it or not, because I don't know if it's going to work out. It's been a long time since I've been trying to do this, all of that. So I thought, okay, this is an example of a client who you might need to speak with again. So I got on another call with her, and she was, without saying it directly, she was saying that she's not going to sign up, and, she's not going to take up my offer. So I asked her a question. Okay, forget about my program. If we don't work together, would you still be interested in building a coaching career? And the answer was yes. So I told her, okay, forget about, the 6 months program, forget about the big investment. What if we start with just the 25%, the first part of the program. So that's one thing I've done, and I recommend this to all the coaches and trainers. Yeah, if you have like a one size fits all package, it may not help you to sign the clients that you could have signed. So that's why it's important to break it up. So what I've done is I have my, my big package, the 16 sessions, and then the 50% of it, which is the 8 sessions. And then in some cases, I offer only the first 4 sessions, and there are some topics in that. So that's what I did with this client. I said, okay, forget about the big package, forget about the big investment. What if we start with this now? And I can help you with this, this, and this. And after that, you can decide. She signed up immediately. So I think this is one way to earn their trust. At the same time, make it easy for them to believe in themselves, because some people don't sign up with you not because of you. It's because they don't believe in themselves. So you make it easy for them to, make that decision. It's a win-win.
100%. I love hearing that. In fact, that's what one of the frames I teach, but we teach at Connect and Convert is reminding people that you believe in them, because the belief you have in them is often stronger than the belief they have in themselves. And you played it out nicely. You stripped away the fear and said, do you still want this without the fear? 100%. I mean, so how do we haven't done the work yet. So I can't get rid of the fear, help you get rid of the fear without doing the work with you. And you need to invest first before we can do the work on the fear. So then you made it a more bite-sized piece for her to say yes to, and she moved forward straight away. So very, very well done. The kicking and screaming that I mentioned before is really just another word for unresourcefulness. And I always like to ask, is this something that you want? And if they always say yes, then I take it on. The only cases is this that we would still say no to someone is if they still say this is what I want, but they still not changing. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if we give them a task, we set a boundary. Hey, your behavior is going over our boundary. I understand you want what's on the other side, but this behavior doesn't work in this environment. They say okay, but they keep doing that behavior again, and it could be a disruption. It could be anything. But over the years, I used to shy away from having difficult conversations with people. And what I realized is that it was only because I wasn't resourceful enough to have conversations with everyone. Now, Cal and I work heavily on that. And when you and this is for all new coaches, when you start off, you're comfortable having any conversation with maybe 7 out of 10 people. Yeah. But being comfortable to have any conversation with 10 out of 10 people, that's a big step up. And it's like we all have this natural gift in order to talk to anyone, which is fine. But do we all have that natural gift, or seems to be natural gift, in order to talk to anyone about anything? And let's be honest, business and life is never a straight line. It's never going to be roses and butterflies all the way through. There are going to be some days that are going to be stormy, and it's actually the real successful people are the ones who have created that resilience in order to get through those stormy days and have those quite difficult conversations. I used to hate them. I used to hate it, and I used to know it because someone would walk up to me with a frown on their face, stiff body, and breathing heavily from their chest, and I knew I was going to get it. So I had a choice. I could either meet them at the unresourcefulness, or let them empty out, and then that's when the magic actually happened. When I changed internally on how I communicated, that's when the magic happened.
It's one of the greatest skills I think you can have, not just as a coach or a trainer, but also as a salesperson, to understand that whole idea of people accepting them where they are and the unresourceful parts of themselves, because often that's what got them to the conversation in the first place. They don't want to be like that. Most of the time anyway, 90% of the people don't want to be like that. They're being like that because of something that's happened to them in their life. They've never felt heard before. They've never felt confident before. They feel like the world's against them, or they feel like they're unable to reach their goals easily and effortlessly like the other people around them. So yeah, it changed my perspective changed my perspective on that. And I think that once you do that and you give people the opportunity to rise above that current experience, the ability to qualify more people starts to occur. And
Yeah.
people become super fans because of that, because you saw them at their worst.
Yeah.
And you still stuck with them, and you still held their hand to and reached down and grabbed them to help them up the mountain that they were trying to climb. And look, I mean, there's some scale bros out there that just want you to qualify everybody out except for the the perfect people. And I think that worked for 1%, maybe 5% of coaches out there, and it tends to be people that have huge presence on social media, that have all the back end infrastructure built out to be able to nurture people and weed people out. They tend to have much bigger teams than you think they do, and they can do things like that. But
It's a compounding effect. It doesn't happen overnight. What was the quote we had yesterday? Steve Jobs. Every overnight success took a long time in order to make it happen, or something like that. It takes 10 years to have to be an overnight success.
Yeah, and people probably look at you that way too, Aki, with they didn't see the trials, the errors, the tribulations that you went on in the early parts of the last decade. What they see now is your big presence on LinkedIn. They see you flying here and there. They see you on stage in front of large audiences. But they don't. They miss out on the tough parts that get you to a point where you can start to qualify more people out, if that makes sense. You know, it's not always, when you're finding your voice, when you're finding your niche, when you're finding your ideal client, it's not always best practice to do that early on. But definitely there is a point that you do come to where you are able to do that, and do it effectively, because you know who you are. You've discovered who you are as a brand, as a business. Yeah.
This is good. So Aki, what's next for you, my friend? Where you recently moved to North Goa. You were living in South Goa. You're now in North Goa.
Yeah.
And
What a part of the world to live in, by the way.
Indian was my favorite curry dish. I love Indian food. Like, I would eat it until I'd burst. And Vindaloo is by far my favorite out of all of them. And I believe
I wanted to tell both of you that plan a trip to Goa. So now it's monsoon,
I'd love to
like
go.
all the time. So any time from October until December, end of December, is a really good time.
When I was a young man, I read a book called Shantaram, by a guy called, I think, Gregory David Roberts, or David Gregory Roberts. I could have messed that up. So if I did, it's come out now as a TV show on Apple TV. The book is by far way better. It's the poetic and paints this beautiful picture, not just of India, the people there and the culture, but there is a section in the book where he goes to Goa, and it's always fascinated me, that place. I'd love to get there sometime.
It's beautiful. So please plan a trip.
And what's next? Are you traveling soon? Are you when planning? What does a calendar look like for you for the next 6 months of the year, 5 months?
Yeah. So the next thing, I mean, other than my one-on-ones, I have my next batch of my group program coming up in August. The Coaching Business Builder, the next batch is starting in August. So that's going to take up like 4 weeks. And I mean, it's like one session a week for 4 weeks. So, and after that, I'm actually in conversation with a coach and trainer from Indonesia, because, I've been working with her for almost a year now. She actually became my client, and I helped her with certain aspects of her business. And she found an opportunity that coaches and trainers in Indonesia can actually benefit from what she learned by working with me. So we're actually building an association right now, and she wants to bring me to Indonesia to do the training there. So we're actually working on that right now. And the next international trip is going to be to Indonesia, most likely in October, I think, September or October. And I have a trip planned to Dubai as well at the end of this year. So Dubai is more like going there, building the relationship. I do know a few people in Dubai, but that's more like the marketing aspect of it. I'm going to go there, meet these people that I know already, all from LinkedIn, by the way. I know all of them from LinkedIn.
So this is from a branding perspective.
Yeah.
We have a lot of coaches and trainers who watch this.
Yeah.
You have found a lot of success on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it, can you share a little bit of, like, in just 20 seconds, a little bit about your strategy, so that if someone is watching this, we highly suggest they reach out to you first and foremost. But secondly, what one or two pieces of advice you would give a someone in the coaching industry?
Yeah, sure. First thing I want to say is it's not about the followers by itself. Okay. So that apart, there are three main things, in my opinion, that you need to have a success on LinkedIn. So assuming you have an optimized profile, there are three things. The first thing is your content has to speak to your audience's pain points, their wants, and their limiting beliefs. That's one. And the second part of it is you have to have a strategy to connect with them. It can either be through the comment section or reaching out to them. So when I say reaching out, I'm talking about the actual conversation, the chat that you do with them.
So direct messages, DMs.
It could be direct messages, or many people reach out to you when you're very consistent on LinkedIn. So when somebody reaches out, how do you have a conversation? Because talking to somebody on Zoom or face to face is not the same as talking to somebody on chat, because you only see the words, you don't see the body, the expressions, and all of that, right? So that's the second part. So the intention of doing a chat is to bring them on a discovery call, a Zoom meeting, or in a face-to-face meeting. And when you do that, the strategy to actually talk to them and convert them into a client. So these are three main things I would say, but there are many other details to it. But these are three things I would say. Yeah.
And if people contact you, is there a way that they could find these additional strategies?
Yeah, in fact, I mean, LinkedIn, having success on LinkedIn, getting clients on LinkedIn is a huge part of my program as well. Although that's not the main area, but that's one of the major areas. So yeah, if somebody wants help in that, I'm more than happy to do that.
And in your niche as such, are new coaches or existing coaches who are still yet to kick into full-time coaching and training? They're still sort of getting their wheels turning. Is that right? Or
So there are two main categories within the coaching and training community. The first part is the beginners, the newbies, right? I was once a beginner and I had no idea how to start, what to do, nothing, no knowledge in the business part. So I helped them to get their first few clients and get it up and running so that they have the strategy, they're making some money and creating impact. That's the first part. That's a major part. The second part within the coaching and training community are people who are successful to some extent, but they haven't leveraged the opportunities that you can get when you become a speaker. And that is through doing master classes, webinars, and speaking on stage. So I train people, I coach people on the speaking part, on the presenting part, because I love that so much. And that's the second part. So these are people who have some success as a coach and trainer, but they're not very good in terms of speaking and presenting. Whether that is speak about a certain topic or selling on stage or selling on a masterclass, all these kind of things. So yeah, that's the second part.
perfect. So it's sort of like you help newbies get runs on the board, and then once the runs are on the board, you help them get more runs on the board by giving them strategies to really blow out their presence and their influence through speaking.
Yeah, correct.
Love it. That's good. And where can people find you?
LinkedIn is the best place. I mean, I do have my Facebook and my website, all of that, but LinkedIn is the place where I'm active every single day. So yeah, LinkedIn is the best place.
And if I just type in Aki, I'll find you. What would I type in?
Well, I mean, you'd have to type my full name. I think, as far as I know, even if you type Aki, you can still find me. I can find my full name, Akhilesh Narayanan, and I have Aki mentioned in the bracket. So I can share the link.
We'll put your link in the description. We'll
Yeah,
put this up on YouTube, and we'll put the link in the description of the
Absolutely. So I'll just share it with you in the chat box, so that you can put it up there. But I think even if you just mention Aki, because my name is not a very common name, thank God. So you can still find me pretty easily. So I just put it in the chat.
I'll put this on the Facebook live comment section as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not tuned into Facebook yet, but is it okay if I put it later or?
Yeah, absolutely. I've tagged you in the Facebook. Look,
Yeah, great.
Yeah, this is good. We'll make sure people can easily find you, because I think that you have a presence about you. You started from scratch yourself, and you've earned your keep through persistence, resilience, and a lot of hard work and learnings along the way. And you're always so pristine and professional when we communicate with you. You seem to overcome any obstacle that comes your way, and sharing that with others, I know, is why you are doing what you're doing, and that's to make an impact in the world. And that's why Kallum and I wanted to have you on the Unplugged Connect Unplugged podcast, is because that's our mission as well, to make a difference, make an impact, and remind people that the future is bright.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you. And thanks to everybody watching and supporting me and you guys. So I wish you more success, pray for you to have more impact in the wonderful work that you're doing. And just good vibes, good energy.
Hey guys, Kallum and Conor here from Connect Coaching. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Unplugged Podcast. We're jumping in to let you know about something really exciting. If you are a practitioner, a coach, or a trainer in the alternative therapy modality space, the Forever Client Matrix is something that we've modeled in the last 30 combined years, both Conor and my experience. And we've turned it into a 2-day intensive, and we want to give you a preview of that, the Forever Client Matrix.
Absolutely.
We want to make the bar for them to enter into that program very, very low and have them get incredible results.
I've sold about $40 million worth, and together we've sold about $100 million worth with our teams.
That's right. We believe that trust and reliability is the currency of the future. So if you want to turn every transaction into a transformational experience, if you want to turn every prospect into a forever client, then please click on the link below in the description and get instant access now to your preview of the Forever Client Matrix.
Enjoy.